Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Please remember to like and subscribe. Amy Roloff's story has been followed by Little People Big World followers for years. She had a second opportunity at a happy ending after going through a difficult divorce and discovering what we were all told. The last successful chapter was supposed to be Marek's wedding. Finally escaping the shadows of Roloff Farms, a new life, a new husband, and a new home. However, what if that fairy tale was only a story? A meticulously crafted narrative created for television? What if a profound, unnerving truth was revealed by the smiles? Greetings from LPBW. Update. We are not merely rehashing an episode today. Rather, we are revealing a narrative so startling that it has the potential to permanently alter your perception of the Roloff family. Information from sources near production has reached us. Sources about a moment that was never intended to be publicized who are required to stay anonymous in order to safeguard their livelihoods. Amy Roloff's own heartfelt and revealing revelation. She reportedly expressed her sincere guilt for marrying Marek in a moment when she thought she was off camera. We're not only discussing a poor day or a small disagreement. We are discussing a confession that is so unvarnished and potent that it challenges the basis of their partnership as a whole. The purportedly simple yet devastatingly sophisticated statements that were captured on a live microphone following a stressful confrontation were terrifying. A sobbing Amy reportedly confided to a producer, "Our insider sources say that this one statement is the key that unlocks everything. It's the loose thread that, when plucked, threatens to unravel the..." This is the kind of story the network does not want to get out, so by liking this video, you are helping us fight the algorithm and share it with every LPW. Tonight, we are going to pull that thread, exposing the entire tapestry of Amy and Chris's life together as a possible sham, a marriage for the cameras, a conspiracy of convenience. Before we go into the exclusive details of this alleged hot mic incident and present our theory on what's really going on behind the scenes. This is just the beginning. Okay, let's set the scene. According to our production source, let's call them the insider, this didn't happen in a vacuum. The cast had just filmed what was described as a mildly contentious scene, which involved Amy and Chris discussing future travel. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single update on this developing story. Plans was a seemingly innocent topic, but the subtext was obvious. According to our insider, the conversation was about Chris wanting to go on a long motorbike trip with his friends, a trip Amy was not invited on. Amy put on a brave front on camera, smiling and making a few jokes about being a biker widow, and the scene ended when the director called it a cut. The crew started to reset for the next shot, which is the crucial moment. Most of the cast knows to immediately disengage, assuming ever. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a quiet, heartbreaking moment. Amy, who has known the producer for years, reportedly walked over to a corner of the room, turning her back to the main camera, and was visibly shaken by the conversation. The producer asked, "Are you okay?" Amy reportedly broke down, forgetting or possibly not caring that the sensitive lavalier microphone was still clipped to her shirt. "Amy, are you sure you're okay? That sounded a little rough." And then, according to our insider, Amy, crying, said the words that sent a shockwave through the production booth. "Sometimes I wonder what my life would be if I just stayed alone." The sound engineer's eyes widened, and the director signaled to cut the audio feed right away, but it was too late. At least 3 people heard it clearly, and according to our source, it was the most genuine and, thus, the phrase, "if I just stayed alone," suggests a fundamental existential regret, a reflection on a life path not taken, and the possibility that the alternative solitude might have been preferable to the reality she is currently living. This is not the statement of a happily married woman having a bad day. It is the most terrifying thing she has said on set in years. Let's examine the words themselves. The statement of a woman stuck in a story she can no longer support. Why would this be so devastating for the show? Because Amy and Chris have been sold as the ultimate second act in Little People, Big World, and their relationship serves as the show's emotional anchor and counterbalance to the ongoing drama of Matt, Karen, and the farm. If that anchor is not just cracked, but completely shattered, the entire show is set adrift, which is, we believe, why you will never see this clip on TLC. We must go back in time to understand that Amy Roloff and Marek's marriage is a marriage of convenience, a plotline decided upon to secure the show's future and their financial stability. If this hot mic moment is real, it raises the question, why? Why would Amy Roloff, a woman who seems to have it all, feel this way? Let's examine the warning signs that, in retrospect, seem less like eccentricities and more like. 4 years, Amy was prepared for the next step, while Chris was, let's say, cautiously ambivalent. The show framed this as a man being cautious, not wanting to rush into things. But what if it was something else? Our theory suggests that Chris, a lifelong bachelor, never truly desired marriage. He enjoyed his freedom, his independence. Red flag number 1 is Chris's prolonged hesitation. Do you remember how long it took Chris to propose? We can't confirm it, but our insider report indicates that behind-the-scenes conversations took place, and we speculate that a very lucrative offer was made. TLC recognized a problem. The show's main conflict, Matt versus Amy, was over, and Amy had left the farm. The show needed a new compelling narrative to continue. A wedding is a guaranteed ratings driver. A proposal, the planning, the ceremony. It's a full season, maybe 2, of content. The second red flag is the prenup power play. The prenuptial discussion was portrayed as a clever, contemporary approach to marriage. But let's take a fresh look at it from our new perspective. Amy, with her substantial assets from the farm sale and her lengthy career on television, was the one with everything to protect. His hesitation abruptly disappeared, and the proposal occurred, and the wedding plot was officially underway. Chris was presented as cool, calm, and understanding. But what if this was a calculated move? By looking so relaxed about the prenup, Chris made Amy look a little unreasonable, while he looked like a man who was in it for love, not money. Our theory asserts that the prenup was non-negotiable for Amy, and Chris knew that. Look at how the conversation was framed on the show. Amy seemed more conflicted, more emotional about it. Red flag number 3. The ongoing low-level conflict. Happy couples have disagreements, but they rarely resolve them with a true compromise. Instead, they end up with Amy grudgingly giving in to Chris's wishes, his desire for a multi-season contract, and a permanent place in the lucrative LPBW universe. His easygoing acceptance wasn't a sign of pure love, but rather the action of a shrewd negotiator who knew he had already secured his main prize, a lot of money. The hot mic comment, "If I just stayed alone," takes on a new tragic meaning here. Amy, who battled for decades to have her own voice in her own space on Roloff Farms, seems to be constantly shrinking in her own home. Is this the natural progression of two people learning to live together? Or is it the behavior of a woman who knows she has to make this storyline work? A woman who has to plate her co-star to keep the show on the road. This theory suggests that they are not life partners but business partners, and that they are both well compensated for their work portraying a marriage on television. However, when the cameras are off, or when they believe they are off, the truth of the arrangement comes to the surface in a moment of pure unscripted regret. It suggests she is losing herself, her space, her rules, and her life without the constant need to perform and compromise for the sake of a narrative. The second, even more shocking theory is that the Chris and Amy love story was a strategic diversion meant to soften Amy and pave the way for Matt Roloff to take complete control of the farm. Consider the timeline. The most controversial topic in LPBW history has been the fate of Roloff Farms. What if this wasn't just about starting a new storyline? What if the marriage to Chris was part of a much larger, more Machiavellian plan orchestrated from the very beginning? Evidence point A, the neutralizer. How many times did we witness Chris play the role of the peacemaker? He would listen to Amy's frustrations about Matt, nod sympathetically, and then gently steer clear of the conflict. 4 years, she was the immovable object preventing Matt from carrying out his grand vision. Her emotional attachment and her financial stake were major roadblocks. Now, Chris Marek, a charming laid-back guy, appeared to take a very logical and unemotional stance from the beginning. It's just land, Amy. You have a new life with me now. Don't let him get to you. This may seem like a loving partner helping his loved one move on from a toxic past, but what if it was a planned psychological influence campaign? What if Chris's role was to be Matt's bad cop's good cop? His steady, soothing presence gradually undermined Amy's resolve by offering her a future so bright and shiny that she would be willing to let go of her past and her. Evidence point B. The shift in alliances over the seasons. We saw a subtle shift in Chris's relationship with Matt. At first, he was firmly on Team Amy, But as his relationship with Amy solidified, he started to develop his own separate friendship with Matt. He wasn't just her boyfriend. He was Matt's unwitting or perhaps witting secret weapon. We saw them interacting more, having friendly conversations, even working on. The show depicted this as a sign of a blended family growing up, but our theory indicates that something more calculated was going on. By becoming friends with Matt, Chris changed the dynamic from Amy and Chris versus Matt and Karen to a complex web where Chris could act as a mediator and bridge, giving him the ability to influence Amy's decisions from a position of perceived neutrality. He could say, "I spoke with Matt and I believe his offer is reasonable and it would carry more weight than if Matt." He successfully separated Amy from her own righteous rage. Chris was always there to soothe her, explain Matt's actions, and remind her of their bright future together. But what happened as a result of all this? Amy sold Matt her remaining farm stake for a price that her own children, Zach and Jeremy, would later find unjust, and she left. And almost immediately after the wedding, the plot went into high gear. According to this theory, Amy's subconscious is finally screaming the truth, that she may have traded her legacy, her birthright on that farm, for a relationship that isn't fulfilling her. When she makes the hot mic confession, "I wonder what my life would be if I just stayed alone." The timing is too perfect to be a coincidence. The show's main engine, the farm drama, was resolved, and a new engine, the wedding, was ready to take its place. The narratives flowed smoothly. The producer's game is anyone in control. This brings us to the last and possibly most unsettling layer of this whole conspiracy. What if Amy, Chris, and even Matt are not the masterminds but rather pawns in a much larger game? This is our third theory, the puppet master theory. She gave up a piece of her soul, and what she received in return may just be an irrelevant performance for a television show. Reality television is a multi-billion-dollar industry. For a network like TLC, shows like Little People, Big World, which have been airing for more than 15 years, are huge assets. However, with longevity comes the risk of stagnation, where the audience becomes disinterested, the ratings decline, and the show is cancelled. Producers of long-running reality shows are experts at what they call story shaping. They don't write scripts, but they know how to set the stage for drama. They know which buttons to push, which dialogues to promote. Our insider source has hinted at the existence of storyline incentives in the LPBW contracts, which is our hypothesis, not a confirmed fact, but it makes perfect sense. What if Amy and Chris were presented with a package deal? We, the network, will finance a dream wedding, feature it as a multi-EP episode, and which conflicts to subtly stoke the storyline contract hypothesis. It's an industry secret that reality stars frequently have clauses in their contracts related to providing compelling content. In this case, Chris's hesitancy was about contract negotiations rather than love, and Amy's final agreement was not just saying yes to a man but to a business proposal that secured her financial future after manufacturing the hot mic moment itself. Now, let's get really meta. What if the hot mic moment wasn't an accident at all? What if it was encouraged? A television special, and offer you both a significant contract extension if you give us the engagement and marriage storyline. In the realm of reality TV production, a moment like this is priceless. The producer, who has known Amy for more than 10 years, notices that she is upset after a scene. The producer is aware of her weaknesses and frustrations, so they approach her in a corner, creating a false sense of privacy, and ask a leading question. "Are you sure you're all right?" They know she's still mic'd. They also know the sound engineer is listening. It is a chilling thought that Amy's moment of genuine painful regret was not an accident, but a premeditated extraction of content by the very people she was trying to comfort. This theory suggests that the producer wasn't comforting Amy. Rather, they were fishing for a sound bite. They provoked a moment of raw emotion, captured it, and now it sits in a vault at TLC, an insurance policy, a dramatic bombshell they can leak to insider channels like this one perhaps, to create buzz if ratings ever start to decline. The statement, "I wonder what my life would be if I just stayed alone," becomes a cry for help. Alone means free from producers, free from cameras, free from storylines, and free from the constant pressure to perform her own life for our entertainment. The aftermath and what to watch for. She is genuinely trapped not by a man, but by the machine that has documented her life for a generation. As a result, what happens now if any of these theories are correct? The following are the clues that we as watchful viewers need to keep an eye out for in the upcoming months, both on screen and off. Clue number 1, the overcorrection. Watch their social media. If this report is accurate, expect a sudden and dramatic increase in happy couple content. Allegedly caused chaos behind the scenes. According to our insider, Amy was horrified when she realized what was recorded, and tense conversations between her, Chris, and the production team followed. Clue number 2. The therapy storyline. TLC loves a redemption arc. If the network chooses to tackle the Trouble in Paradise narrative head-on, expect a new storyline next season where Amy and Chris are on a date night, gushing captions about their love, and posting coordinated posts about their amazing life together. This is a classic PR move to counteract negative buzz. It won't look natural. Instead, it will look like a coordinated campaign. It's not proof of happiness, but rather of damage. They may be depicted attending couples counseling, which enables them to acknowledge the conflict in a controlled, sanitized manner, portraying it as a typical marital obstacle they are courageously conquering rather than a fundamental flaw in the relationship's foundation. Clue number 3. Separate vacations and separate lives. Keep a close eye on their travels. Does Chris take more solo motorbike trips? Does Amy spend more time visiting her children or friends alone? Despite being portrayed. The 4th clue is the tell-all interview, which is the ultimate endgame for any reality star. The tell-all book or the paid interview after the show ends. If this marriage is a sham, the truth will eventually come out, even if it takes years. This could indicate that they are more business partners than life partners, fulfilling their contractual obligations on filming days and then withdrawing to their own separate worlds. We are left with a broken picture, a single purportedly recorded sentence that calls everything into question. Is Amy Roloff a woman in a happy second marriage who simply had a fleeting moment of doubt on a stressful day, or is she a key player in a complex television production, performing a role that she has come to regret? The non-disclosure agreements are no longer a threat. Someone will speak, and the story they tell will probably be far closer to our theories than the fairy tale we were sold. The truth, as always, is probably hidden somewhere in the gray area between these theories. But the hot mic incident as reported to us serves as a reminder that she had to trade her legacy for a new life that feels more and more hollow. Is Chris more her devoted husband or a cunning opportunist who saw a golden ticket and cashed it in? And are the producers of Little People Big World merely documenting reality, or are they architects of it? Creating narratives, playing on emotions, and even staging crises for ratings? We will be closely following this story, keeping an eye on our sources, and providing you with all the latest information as this amazing situation unfolds. What do you think is the truth? Is this a real marriage, a showbiz arrangement, or a grand conspiracy? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. This is a discussion that the entire LPBW community needs to have. Please note that what we see on screen is never the whole story. It is a product packaged and sold for our consumption. Join us on LPBW Update. And remember to like, subscribe, and share. Together, we will uncover the reality that exists.